You know what the answer is? Could be as little as 1 generation. Now, the Bible doesn't tell us what skin color, how much melanin our first parents had, but from a design point of view, the best place to start is in the middle. That's where you get the most variation in the least amount of time, and what was God's purpose? To have people, plants, and animals multiply and fill the earth in incredible diversity and variety. So just from a design point of view, this is just a guess. It's not for certain sure, but it's possible that God created Adam and Eve in the middle with a medium amount of melanin, and we could write their genes as big and little a and big and little b. And so now I'm not saying that is what happened, but if that was the case, you had, our first parents, Adam and Eve, were like that. Look what happens in 1 generation. And so this little square, some of you have done these and hated it. Some of you done it and were really enthused. Some of you will do it in a few years, okay? That checkerboard just shows the combinations that are possible. And so if you start with 2 parents that have a medium amount of melanin, kind of a medium brown skin tone, then the first generation, one child in the upper left-hand corner there would have 2 capital A's, 2 capital B's, makes the most melanin, have the darkest possible skin color. Look down in the lower right, one of the children, same family. Okay, these are just brothers and sisters from 2 parents, would have the little letter genes and the least amount of melanin, be very light skin tone. On average, across the diagonal there, they would be medium like their parents. 4 would be a shade darker, 4 would be a shade lighter. That's the normal situation in India at the present time. Among the Indians, I'll say it that way since I'm largely American Indian, but among the Indian Indians, some are as dark as the darkest African, some are as light as the lightest European, most are somewhere in between. We once knew a family, when they sat down around the dinner table, any skin color amount you could see anywhere in the world was present in the natural children of just those 2 people. A few years ago, something very ordinary happened, but it was considered so unusual it made the news, and it's been in biology books ever since. An Englishman married a Nigerian woman on the mission field, and they had twin boys. Now, these were twin boys like Jacob and Esau. They weren't identical twins. They were fraternal twins born at the same time. But like Jacob and Esau had startlingly different traits, so did these guys. One was as dark as his Nigerian mother. One was as light as his English father. But that problem only takes 4 squares to show what was happening in that situation. Just perfectly ordinary combination of genes. Take a look at that number in the upper left-hand corner there under the word entelechy. And that word entelechy is one of my favorite words. Why? Because I made it up, okay? With the help of the Greek teacher at the school where I was teaching. And it means to unfold the potential that God built in ahead of time. Evolution has come to mean adding on new traits as time goes by, developing things that never existed in the past. So according to evolution, if you went far enough back, there'd be a time when there were no bones, and there'd be a time, when there was no muscle, there were no brain and no nerves, just bacteria. But entelechy says, no, all of the different things were present at the beginning and then came to visible expression as time went on. All that variation was built in ahead of time. Well, that number beneath that word is a 1 followed by more than 2,000 zeros. What is it? The number of atoms in the universe is only a 1 followed by 80 zeros. This is a lot more than the number of atoms in the universe. The number of connections among brain cells, that's pretty phenomenal. That's often given as a 1 followed by 275 zeros. Lots more than the number of atoms in the universe. Trillions and gazillions of times more than the number of atoms in the universe. But this is 10 times bigger than that. What is it? It's a number of children, the average couple today. We're not even talking about Adam and Eve designed to multiply and fill the earth. The average couple today could have that many children, mathematically, not physically, before they'd run out of variation and have to have an identical twin. Do you realize how special you really are? Wow! Nobody ever had your combination of traits before. Nobody ever will have that combination in the future. You're an absolutely unique creation of God with a special place in His plan nobody else can take. Wow! You might want to just stop a moment, look at the person sitting next to you, and congratulate them on how special they really are. So phenomenal. And I love to tell that at universities because, it's got to be depressing. You wonder, why do students get fed up with school and do horrible things? Well, if you go to class, and it's not science classes, it's English classes, literature classes, math classes, about any class you go to, you're just a product of time and chance destined for death. You're just a product of time, chance destined for death. Who are your classmates? They're your competitors. They're the ones that you have to trample to win the struggle for survival. They're the ones you got to beat out for dates on a Saturday night, for jobs in the future, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now I get to tell them, no, you're a product of plan and purpose with a unique place in God's plan, destined for new life in Jesus Christ if you'll accept the gift of His love and forgiveness. Wow, what a different message. And who are your classmates? They're not your competitors. They're creations of God with a different place in His plan. So each one of you can help the other be all they can be in Jesus Christ. Totally different way of looking at God's world. So that's more than just a little chart there. Notice, by the way, that as people multiply and fill the earth, though, especially after the Tower of Babel, and all the skin colors would show up, all the different amounts, but at the Tower of Babel, people broke up into language groups. Well, now, if one language group, on the right side there, it says big A, big B, little b, all combinations, but under that, if one of the groups, all of the people happen to have the double big A, double big B, that's all they could pass on, and the children would come out very dark generation after generation. At the bottom on the right there, if the one language group had only the little letter genes, that's all they could pass on. The children would come out very light generation after generation. You could even get stuck in the middle.